Everybody, welcome to the Rewind. I'm Kyle from SmackDraw, joined by RN from SmackDraw. I didn't toss it to you this time.
I was ready this time.
I know you were. That's why I didn't send it to you. Got to keep you on your toes like that Gargano Adam Cole like toy video. Did you see that shit? Oh, and you're back. The show's off to a great start. Hey, you guys. We like to go ahead on normally Sundays, but I guess today on Monday, run through this week's wrestling. There's a ton of it. I think. Okay, so we normally do Raw, SmackDown, AEW, and NXT. However, there was 2 NWA shows. Did you catch either of them yet?
Not yet, no.
Yeah, there was Empower, and then NWA had another show the night after. A lot of big stuff happened over there. Trevor Murdoch took the NWA championship off of Aldis after like 3,000 days.
I did hear that.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. I did hear that, but yikes.
Yeah, man. I'll have to check it out. So sorry if you guys wanted to hear about Empower and NWA. I'm going to actually watch it probably later today or tomorrow, and I'll just tweet about it. So follow us on Twitter if you want to see that stuff at Smacked Raw Pod. RN, let's go ahead. Look, running kind of loose and fast here. We had a decent week of wrestling, but let's be honest, it's in the wake of last week's jam-packed. Anything initially stand out after this week's wrestling to you?
Miz turning on Morrison. That was probably one of the biggest things from Raw that I remember. And just NXT kind of being in I don't want to say a lull, like it's still been decent, but you can tell that they're in a holding pattern.
See, and that's what's crazy, because I had that feeling too, that like this week was kind of like not really too much stood out. Yet this week we saw the official return of Becky Lynch on SmackDown, and CM Punk was on the mic. That's how big of a hangover we are on this week, where it's like, oh yeah, they were on television too, and we're not freaking out because all this stuff happened last week. That's crazy, man. It's good stuff though. Let's kick it off with Raw. Look, Raw, as I went over it, I think I found myself kind of in the middle. We're at this weird point where the next pay-per-view is Extreme Rules, but we know we got to stop at Saudi Arabia before then. So we're at that weird point where stories can't progress too much, and I think that was most evident with Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre teaming up to take on Lashley and Sheamus. It just feels like filler because we know we're going to probably get that rematch with Lashley and Goldberg. What are you thinking about that?
No, that's pretty much what I thought it would be as well. Like, I mean, I wish they had brought some different guys in instead of keeping Sheamus and, well, not so much Sheamus, but more so Drew and everybody that close together. My thing is, like, the U.S. title is supposed to be your secondary title. Like, it doesn't get any type of shine or any type of spotlight on it because you always have it drowned out by it being involved in the world title shit. So, like, to me, like, it's a wash.
When Sheamus we're not that far removed from Sheamus being U.S. champ. He just lost it at SummerSlam. Yeah, it did feel washed out, didn't it?
I forgot that Damian Priest was even a fucking champ, if I'm being 100% honest.
God, I don't know. It felt big when they updated the belt, but you're right. It does feel kind of secondary. Like I think it was being contested for. No, it wasn't. Drew was champ when he was feuding with Sheamus, right?
Right.
Okay. So we weren't fighting over it then. Yeah, I don't even know what the hell it was doing then. Well, anyways, we saw
Lashley had it for a while.
Yeah, that's true. He did. He had it right before they moved him up to, because he went from U.S. champ to world champ within a matter of 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks or a week, one of the two.
Because he dropped it in that triple threat match. I can't remember the pay-per-view, but he dropped it, and then he helped the Miz out with that cash in. In exchange, Miz had to have that world title match with him, which he absolutely annihilated him. We did get the Miz as champ though for 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, man.
Yeah.
There you go. So, all right. So my 2 lowlights. I'm not gonna let's just knock them out now. You hit me up the moment because I went off about this on the last episode of the Rewind. I said for Doudrop, to really be an effective babyface, she needs to reclaim her name. She cannot submit and accept the name Doudrop the moment her and Eva Marie split ways. That's exactly the route they went on Monday Night Raw. I don't get this, man.
The name doesn't even make fucking sense. Like, it's like Munchausen syndrome. It's like being a slave and shit, or somewhere and somebody capturing you and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna take my kidnapper's name. Like, no.
Yeah, it's terrible logic. They did the same thing with Shorty G, like Chad Gable. Right. He was called Shorty G as like a mockery, and then he embraced it. It doesn't work, man. It doesn't.
This guy's Vince McMahon written all over.
Yeah, no, I get it if you want to change their name, but if you change it as a punishment, once they redeem themselves, they're supposed to shed it. So keeping the name does not make any sense. It's whatever. We saw this coming a million miles away. I was hopeful we were going to get the return of Piper Niven. We did not. Instead, we're getting the feud of Doudrop and Eva Marie, whatever. And then lastly, Karrion Kross brings out his BDSM vibes with the new getup.
Fake Jason Warriors.
Oh my dude, it's straight out of Road Warrior. It's straight out of the original one with Mel Gibson. Right.
It reminded me of that episode of Rick and Morty. They go to like Murder World or whatever.
Oh, this was rough. So on listen, on Untitled, which by the way, I'm willing to admit is like one of the worst podcasts I've ever shot. My brother and I were both sick, and I tried to power through it with him, and it just did not translate. Like, just two sick people drinking beer just is not the best thing. But anyways, on Untitled, we did this thing where I showed him pictures of obscure looking wrestlers, because he's not heavy into pro wrestling. He watches it on rare occasions. So when I showed him a picture of Karrion Kross from Raw, he made up the name. I don't remember the name, but then I asked him, I said, hey man, when do you think that guy was wrestling? And he was like, oh yeah, early 90s. And I was like, no, try last Monday.
try 5 days ago.
Yeah, so it doesn't even look relevant for this time period. That's how bad it is.
I just want everybody, all those fucking the same shills every time. Just wait, give it a chance. He's not buried yet. How many more fucking times do we have to have instances of this? From Keith Lee losing his music and having to wear a fucking bra. Now Karrion Kross looking like a reject fucking from Mad Max Fury Road. Like, it continuously happens over and over and over again. But give them a chance. Give them a chance. No. They don't like NXT guys. I think we should just pretty much put that fucking shit to bed. They just don't.
Yeah. I think we're slowly turning it. Now this is going to sound probably really ignorant because I'm really putting no thought into this, but it feels like we're slowly turning to the point where, you know how like always those backstage reports that Vince McMahon blames someone for this or that?
Right.
It really does. It feels like the start of the vibes that like the indie wrestlers are going to take the blame for the lack of
that's how you know you haven't been watching NXT, because that's literally what the fuck is happening.
Well, no, but I'm saying I wouldn't be surprised if that like starts to make its way up onto the main card as well.
Right.
On Raw and SmackDown, where we see all the indie wrestlers being punished and stuff like that.
If you pay attention to it, all these bigger guys are starting to coming up, creeping in.
Yeah.
Odyssey Jones, who won the fucking the breakout. Well, not he didn't win, but he went to the finals, which I was surprised that happened. Samoa Joe. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Riggs or whatever. Like,
are you intrigued by that Parker Bordeaux guy? Is that his name?
Yeah, I am, but it's only because I want to see if he can actually do it. Because as of now, I know he can do his strike a pose and pretend to be Brock Lesnar. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, he really does a lot of social media for never being on television.
Right.
We saw him a couple of weeks ago as a security guard.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe he's not as big as he looks in the pictures. Maybe that's it. And once he's out in the ring, turns out he's like a little bit smaller than Big E.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. He may not even make it. You know how they are about their guys, those big guys. He might just go straight to the main roster.
That's true. What else was on here? Logan Paul appeared on Miz TV. This was pretty stupid. This shows you how little the WWE knows its like adult audience. So I don't know if this was for kids or what was going on here, but they were using Logan Paul to try to get heat on The Miz. Logan Paul was brought out on Moist TV as the baby face. And all that happened was, A, every adult in America pretty much hates the Paul brothers. And B, they were cheering The Miz by the end of this. They were booing Logan Paul, which I think he essentially just got booed out the building. And they were cheering The Miz up until, of course, Xavier Woods comes out. Xavier Woods is always going to get more cheers.
They are tone deaf as usual. Like, they don't understand pop culture. As much as they claim to be a part of it and want to be a part of it, they literally have no fucking clue about the climate of anything. That's why Jackson Riker is still getting TV time. That's why they thought Logan Paul was going to be a fucking face.
Well, they love their social media platform, so they look at his YouTube numbers and they're like, "Oh yeah, fuck yeah, man!"
Right. That's it. They don't look at the context behind any of these things, bro. Like, it can't be any more tone deaf. Like, and I understand the shit about not having wrestling people as writers, because they really never have.
Right.
But at least those guys back in the day, even Patrice O'Neal, fucking Freddie Prinze Jr., those guys were all
Patrice O'Neal was a writer for wrestling?
Yeah.
I had no idea. I love Patrice, man.
Yeah.
I had no damn idea he was a writer on Raw.
Yes. But they were all fans and watched it as a kid and understood its tongue-in-cheek shit. It is what it is.
Yeah.
It's not fucking make-believe that they're trying to spin this real arc on that these guys, these fucking young, dumb people that think they know everything, try and make it be. That's my main fucking issue. Like with the lady that got fired. Like, she had no fucking clue about any of it, which I get, but like, you didn't at least watch a couple shows before you applied for
She was also very blatant about it. She went on and, controversially was like bragging. It's like, stuff like that is kind of like known, but you don't want to be like brash about it and draw that type of attention.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the WWE we have.
Yeah, and it shows at times, man. It really rears its ugly head. Xavier Woods ended up beating The Miz with a roll-up. Miz went on, you said, turned on Morrison. I'm going to have to – I feel like I'm the only person that never got to see Morrison at his best. Because I always remember Morrison around the mid-card, but I know he tore it up on Lucha Underground.
And he was fucking fire.
Yeah, I guess I missed all of that. Just kind of
like stuck on the mic. You would think as much time as he spent as world champion at Impact and at Lucha that he would have got any better at promos, but he fucking hasn't. So
he just comes across as like doofus Beach Boy all the time. All the time. I love it though. I love him. It's a weird dynamic. And then really
Kofi hurt? Huh? Like I meant to ask that in the group chat. I was like, Kofi hurt or something? Like, where the fuck's Kofi?
He's not cleared to wrestle. I haven't looked into it specifically, but I think he's got an injury. Okay, so a couple other minor things. Raw's dragging out here, but everything else was kind of minor, surprisingly to me. Arcade Bro Celebration was actually really fun. But they just went on to have a singles match between AJ Styles and Riddle, which I think like Riddle won later in the night. Mansoor and Ali have a cool dynamic still going. I'm interested to see if this really develops into a good tag team.
I want to like it, but it just has this like cringy fucking like right-wing vibe to it that I'm scared is going to turn into something stupid in the end. Like, I'm trying to get
really
it,
that's okay.
It just doesn't feel like it feels dirty, kind of, like, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it really is Ali. I mean, at its core is the classic story of Ali trying to tell Mansoor essentially DTA and do whatever you got to win.
Right.
And Mansoor is supposed to be that the plucky, just innocent, do everything right. I mean, we had the same. Here's the level of storytelling. We had the same thing over on AEW Dark for a couple months when Peter Avalon was tag teaming with Brandon Cutler. It was the same story, but it was on a comedic level over there. Taking it seriously on Raw, you're right, does kind of add a weird vibe to it.
I just, like I said, a lot of it is too because I love Ali so much and I see so much potential in him. And like, I think Mansoor, I don't want to say he's ass because I don't even think he's bad enough to be ass. I think he's literally just mid as fuck. Like everything, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't even want to trash him. I like, because there's nothing, to me, it's so bland and fucking just like blah, like there's literally nothing for me to trash.
Yeah, it's really his dynamic with Ali is what makes him stand out. Yeah, because
Right,
I
exactly.
can't recall like any highlights in his matches, whereas like say
Ever.
Dominic Mysterio might not be the full package, but I know his style in the ring. Like he makes himself stand out at least somewhere.
Exactly.
And Mansoor, the only thing that's stood out to me is him celebrating himself in the middle of matches.
Right. He's like that the creative character that starts you out with in 2K. Like,
yeah. Last thing we'll touch on Raw, because I really have no opinion on it yet. What do you think of Bliss looking to be the next contender against Charlotte?
I'm over the Alexa Bliss stuff. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. All right, cool. No, I mean, yeah, verdict's still out on that for me too. Now, NXT, I only got to see about the first quarter. I was watching it before the show today. You there?
Yeah, listen to Pop's back shit.
Okay, so the two things I'll speak on, and then I'll let you talk about everything else that happened, is me, Cameron Grimes celebration, all about it. I make no bones about it. Huge Cameron Grimes fan. Loved it. I want some Cameron bucks, by the way. I shot the money into the fans. And then this one is kind of silly, but JCJ and was it Gigi Dolan?
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know they come out to Marilyn Manson. They come out to Sweet Dreams. That came out of left field to me when I saw that.
They're interesting, but they kind of got like a weird, like generic Shotzi vibe.
Yeah. I haven't seen a single match of theirs. Anytime they're on TV, that's the shit I miss that week.
Right. You know? They had a couple matches like on 205 Live and stuff like that. Like, and they've had a couple single matches.
But anything else stand out to you? You watched the show.
The breakout tournament, Odyssey Jones versus Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo won, which I was completely surprised at.
Oh, the smaller fella won.
Yeah, especially all the shit they talked about under 30 indie guys. I mean, he's literally 37 years old and an indie guy and 5'9". So, but no, he's got fucking. He's dope as hell in the ring too, but he's just got that Adam Cole kind of vibe, that swag where you know something's there. Like when you see him wrestle, when you hear him talk, like you can feel something is there that he has it. But now what they do with it, who fucking knows? But because even when he had a match with Adam Cole, you knew there was no way in hell he was going to win. You still felt that.
Yeah, that's the match. That's the guy that faced. Okay, I remember that match too. Right. That was gnarly.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. And then Odyssey Jones is like a taller, bigger, more athletic Mark Henry. Like, I mean, he's fucking got his personality is just jumping off the screen. Even for him to be as big as he is, his personality is still bigger than what he is. And I know why those two guys made the finals, like legit.
Hell yeah. No, I saw Carmelo Hayes' win that got him to the finals. And his promo afterwards was fire. You're absolutely right. The guy's captivating as hell.
That's really it. The Samoa Joe stuff, like it was them. They're all looking for the next challenger. Same thing they fucking did on Raw and SmackDown with Becky Lynch.
We're just the locker room just empties out. You gotta love it. That just shows like, hey, look, we have no idea which way we're taking this. So here's everybody. Right. You guys pick.
And that's what I'm saying. Like I hate that shit. The best thing to me is the Hit Row versus Legato. They had like a crazy ass parking lot brawl where fucking Swerve got his grill back from fucking. That's the best part about most of this feud that the last few weeks have been about.
It's been over.
Swerve getting his grill back. But no, like other than that, NXT was like I said, you can feel that it's in like a holding pattern, which everything is. Because like you said, we're trying to get to the fucking money grab, but NXT feels a little bit different because with all the backstage shit we've been hearing, all the new logo supposedly.
What'd you think of
making it around?
What'd you think of the logo comparison to the AEW aesthetic?
Kind of the same, and they look like they stole our fucking color patterns and shit for real.
Yeah, true. They I'm not making it's not a. So here's where they're the same. Is they're both paint splash aesthetics, except with AEW it's powder, where this one it's actual like paint.
Right, yeah.
But it's a very colorful splash vibe. And you're right. I didn't even think about that. They're taking our new aesthetic.
That was the first thing I thought. Them motherfuckers stole our damn logo idea.
But oh man, I know people. I like NXT. I'm not as invested as a lot of other people are, but I do feel for you guys because it does feel like you're just about to walk through a door and you don't know what's on the other side.
Right. Like, and that's my thing. Like, and these types of things, and even the shit with Raw and SmackDown, it's why AEW gets put on the pedestal it does, and why they give passes to them, because the shit that you get that AEW does wrong is so minuscule because they do the storytelling right and they do the fucking emotions right to get fans involved, that it's almost okay to look over the small shit that they do, because WWE does all the shit you should do so poorly that you know what I'm saying? Like it automatically gives AEW a pass that they don't deserve. But when the competition is so ass, you overlook those things. Because I don't give it, like, I'm the NXT guy. I'll tell you, I've got more emotion from fucking what's the one on Friday? I always forget what it's called. But that CM Punk debut and him on the mic and him and even the Jericho shit. There's more emotion from those two shows the last 3 weeks than I've got from NXT in the last probably 3 or 4 months.
Yeah,
and I'm an NXT guy.
Oh man. Yeah, well, I'm gonna give, like, I'm gonna be optimistic. I'm definitely not gonna be the guy that's like, oh, they're dead. I see a lot of that online. It doesn't need to come down to that.
No, it's not. Like I said, and even the shit with Carmelo Hayes, like, he's literally the epitome of what they said they didn't want to move forward with, but he won the fucking breakout tournament versus a guy that's 6'5", 6'6", almost 400 pounds. So
it is.
There's splashes there. We'll see.
Yeah. It is weird. Last thing I'll mention about NXT is Nick Khan doing that interview with Ariel Helwani and him saying that, we're no longer in the business of indie guys. Just to come out and just say it. Like, where we've always had to go through like dirt sheets and hear like the rumors and everything that this is what's being backstage. No, this came straight from the horse's mouth itself. Like, we're no longer in the business of independent talent. Everybody else can have them. Tony Khan was just having it up on Twitter, posting gifts. I'll take all of them. But
to be honest, like, what big indie guys has it been the last few years?
And so that's the thing is I can kind of see that, right? You do have your PC center, and let's not forget there have been a lot of big talents that have not been independent wrestlers. Right? There's talented people everywhere, and I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. They're trying something. And you know what? If they get it wrong, I'm a huge AEW fan, so I can always just tune in on Wednesday, and all my gripes about WWE are just eased away. But
I hate to fucking agree with you, but
yeah. So going to Dynamite, I think the biggest things here was, of course, the CM Punk stuff. CM Punk essentially confirmed Daniel Bryan's back, or Bryan Danielson is signed to AEW.
Right.
Did you hear that quote?
Yes, that's ad nauseum.
So the crowd's chanting yes during CM Punk's promo, and off the cuff he says that someone else's shtick. Y'all have to be patient. Just essentially,
that's okay. Don't do that, bro. We got to surprise him, Sean. Even though we knew he was coming, but no one made mention of it. Like we knew it was coming. We just didn't know when. Like, don't leave the mystery. Leave it out. Don't be the WWE. Shit, let us be surprised. That was the best part about his debut was, it wasn't technically a surprise, I guess, but it was a surprise.
It was the worst kept secret, but it was still a secret.
It didn't like if Tony Khan hadn't went on Busted Open the day before, it might have been better, but
he couldn't contain himself. I hear you guys. I'm not gonna let you down. Right. Oh man, Tony Khan. It's endearing sometimes watching.
I think the dopest thing for me was being like a fan that never left. Like, I know a lot of you guys did, but like seeing Tony Schiavone fucking interview CM Punk, like, to me that was a fucking dope moment. Like I said, don't get me wrong, I don't like AEW I'm like 50-50 on it, but like that fucking moment right there for me as a lifelong wrestling fan, like that was a big thing. That was something I'm not going to take lightly or ever really forget. Like those two eras meeting smack dab on a show on TV. Like that shit was dope.
Yeah, that's like a thing about for me is I I watched WCW as a kid,
Right.
but none of like the personalities really ever like stuck with me.
Right.
And AEW has given me such a huge appreciation for Tony Schiavone.
Right.
Like easily one of my most favorite. Like I've always known about the man, but I've never like cared. And now I'm a huge fan of Schiavone. And it blows my mind that he's been doing this like I want to say since like the early '80s, but maybe even longer to be honest with you. CM Punk. Oh, you're froze, ain't you? Son of a bitch. CM Punk confirms why he's back. During that interview, he ended up saying that he couldn't hear Tony over the CM Punk chants. But he's here to have a match with Darby Allin, not only to prove it to the fans, but to prove it to himself that he's still got it. So that should be a lot of fun. Later in the night, Chris Jericho. I think... Okay, we're having some technical issues here. Yep. RN is officially in here twice. Oh, man.
I have
Zoom.
no idea why Zoom does this.
Yeah.
Like, why does Zoom do so bad?
There we go. And we're fixed. I just got us through the rest of the CM Punk interview. What did you think of Jericho putting his career on the line against MJF?
I hate that when people do that shit. I mean, I get it. This feud has to have some sort of exclamation point on it, but like, is he really going to retire? Like, I don't see it happening, but I guess.
Yeah, it's right. What? Because MJF is 3-0 against Jericho. Jericho has to have one win. It just feels like they're giving the wrong win to Jericho.
Right.
They
should have never had that match on Dynamite. They should have waited to have after he did the 5 stages, whether they should have saved it for fucking All Out or all whatever one it is.
I think the career versus MJF match was always intended for All Out.
Right.
The 5 labors was actually, instead of being what we initially thought as the climax, but actually the final step to this part of the story.
I think that was a mistake.
Yeah, either that or Jericho should have won. Like one of the earlier matches. But yeah, and then let that be the finish. Yeah, because it just feels weird. Because MJF should be the one with the final victory, and it doesn't seem like that's what's going to happen.
Unless he really is. I mean, he's already on all the damn commentary booths and shit. Maybe he is really trying to hang it up.
Maybe he's just trying to tour with Fozzy and do some commentary from time to time. Who knows, man? Lucha Bros and Varsity Blondes, they killed it. My brother, who doesn't watch wrestling, he sat down and watched this with me, and he said this was one of the best matches he's ever seen.
Facts.
Yeah.
These 2 dudes are 2 of the reasons why I watch. I only got like 3 or 4 reasons why I watch AEW, and these dudes are 2 of them. Like, I've seen both of them live. Phoenix twice. I've seen them both live twice apiece, and seeing them in a tiny ass gym hole do those flips about hitting their feet on the fucking scaffolding and shit. Like, I love them.
Yeah. I love that the Varsity Blondes continue to grow. My initial thought when I saw them was like, okay, so there's some high name like jobbers, kind of like, Curtis Axel.
Right.
Yeah, and stuff. Like, you got a big name, but they never do anything with you. And here these guys are hanging out at the top of the card of the tag team division, which, let's not forget, was one of the original visions of AEW's formation, is we got to highlight our tag teams. So that obviously means they see something pretty big in the Varsity Blondes, which I think is great. But, of course, all the star power in this still belongs to Lucha Bros.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But like I said, this was the first time I ever took the Varsity Blondes seriously. And Brian Pillman, I think that he has potential as well. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't see like a megastar at him, but there's definitely something there. You could definitely see, like with any of these 2nd and 3rd generation guys, you can see that they just have it. Like, it may not be a big it, like compared to somebody else, but they have it. And like, even in the ring, like, they didn't seem out of place with the Lucha Bros. Even though everything you said is true, like kind of like a jobber tag team, lower level, blah, 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 but they fucking came to play. Like, that was
they did, man. Match. And it's great. So this match was a tournament semifinals, which led to the Lucha Bros going on to Rampage later in the week and also defeating Jurassic Express in another good match, which was actually the opening match, I believe, of Rampage, because that was the highlight of the whole show. To now challenge the Young Bucks at All Out in a steel cage, which should be one of probably 3 match of the year contenders that's going to take place at All Out. Yeah, it's gonna be fantastic. God bless the tag division. I'll say, man, if there's one thing, say what you want. You know, if you're into it, it's really good. But I get where people criticize, like, what are the rules and all of that.
But even that, like, in tag team wrestling, like, I don't mind it when those things kind of happen in a tag team match, because there's so much shit going on. It's not one-on-one. Like, I kind of give it a pass, especially with some of these tag teams, like, because there's so many fucking factions and there's so much other stuff going on. Like, I don't really give it, like, I'm harsh about the no rules thing too, but that's only for like one-on-one matches and championship matches, not so much these tag matches where all these factions and shit are involved. Like, I don't mind it kind of being like, all right, I'm gonna let it go a little bit because there's so much going on.
You know, AEW would save themselves a lot of trouble if they could just establish that. Because I get it. Like, so I'll say this. In Charlotte, we saw the 5-on-5, the Dark Order versus the Super Elite. And you had moments in the match where, you know, all 5 members of the team are coming in and just smashing a guy in the corner, like back to back to back. The ref's doing nothing. And this is obviously because this is one thing that got AEW popular, was the PWG style, where you see this stuff all the time.
Exactly.
All you have to do is establish in the
rules.
Acknowledge it. Just acknowledge that, yeah, the rules are going to be severely bent. Like, you can't have no blatant DQs.
Right.
But, yeah, like, brawls are going to be lasting long. Just stuff like that's accepted. And then a lot of the critics online wouldn't have a leg to stand on, because they always complain that what are the rules. So if you establish it, or not even AEW could just take a huge step forward.
Not even necessarily establish it, but be uniform with it across all your fucking matches. Because some matches, they're held to a T, and then some matches, there's no fucking, it's damn near a no holds barred match, and nothing even happens, and there's charities involved. So, like, my thing is, I don't necessarily think you have to acknowledge it, because I mean, that's not wrestling acknowledging something. But my thing is, be uniform with it. If it's going to be like ECW, no one ever came out and said there's no rules. Yeah. It's up to the ref's discretion. No, we knew that, because every fucking match, even the technical matches with like fucking Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero, a table or a chair would get involved sometimes down the line or whatever. Like, but we just knew, hey, it's ECW, shit happens. Like, that's exactly the thing I need. They fucking need to hammer it out. Like, it's across the board, not just in the 10-man match, not just in a you know what I'm saying? Like, all the matches have this it's lax. Sorry, bud. Or hey, it's up to the fucking referee what he wants to allow. Leave it at that.
Yeah, leaving it up to your fans to explain the rules to people who are criticizing it isn't going to get people to take that seriously. It's got to come straight from the show. And like you said, those are the two ways. Either address the matches individually, or just, like you said, be a uniform across the board. And boom, you take away a huge chunk of the active criticism that AEW receives.
That's my thing. Like, I don't mind the lax rules shit. Like, I love that, because it gives you different avenues for matches, and especially with matches that you know are going to be shit. You can involve a chair or a weapon or something, and you get a hot finish from one of your heels or something. Like, I get it. I understand. I'm not mad at it.
Yeah.
But you can't change it match by match, where one match has every fucking rule in the book, and then the next one, there's people getting stabbed in the head with screwdrivers and shit. You don't call
Jesus Christ. My favorite tag match style has actually always been a tornado tag. Anytime I'd be playing like pro wrestling games, tornado tag all the time.
Everybody in.
Yes, sir. Other than that, the other big highlights, the biggest of the next highlights is definitely going to be Aleister Black. He kills it with his promos, man. Oh my God. If there's ever, him and Jon Moxley feel like the most just, I can breathe and show you what I'm about on AEW, which is so contrasting to what we got, you know, in WWE. I will give, with the exception of Black leading up to his release, they were doing some pretty cool stuff with the Dark Father.
My thing is, like, how do you not find something like, even everyone knows how much I dislike Moxley
Yeah.
But like just seeing him like gradually progress and perform and just take control, like you had these men in your fucking pocket for years. Like I don't understand how you couldn't find something better for these guys to do and to be. Like they literally like I don't care about that WWE shit everybody gives AEW about. Like there's only been one fucking top flight promotion for the last 20 years. Yeah. Where the fuck else are they supposed to get talent from?
I saw an awesome piece of art. I use the word art very loosely. It's an advertisement for Monday Night Raw back in the Attitude Era, and it had WCW plastered over everyone's faces that had touched down in WCW, and it was like this is how Twitter would have been back in like '97.
Exactly.
You know? It's very true.
Like that's the one thing I will always defend AEW on is like, where exactly are they supposed to get talent from? They've signed up all the indie talent, and WWE has all the fucking people stashed away, not doing shit. Like, where are they supposed to get talent from? You are supposed to snatch up every fuck up that WWE releases. You snatch them. Like, I don't know why they haven't got Braun yet. Like, I would have had Tony Khan at
I'm pretty sure Braun's going back to WWE.
I'm just saying. If I was Tony Khan, I would have been the moment his 90-day or whatever the fuck was up. Yeah. I'd be at his door in Kentucky or wherever the hell he's at now, banging down the door with the Brinks truck behind me. Like I just would. Like as much as I hate Braun. Everyone knows that. I hate Braun. But Braun, it would be the biggest fucking star in AEW before CM Punk came back. But I mean the biggest current star that they have. And bro, like dumb. Like I would have been got all these guys.
Yeah. I'm gonna talk to you a little bit about like who I really want to see. And it's of course always it's going to come down to WWE. Here's the thing. If you're trying to build a roster, which you're going to claim is going to have the most talented people, professional wrestlers out today, a lot of them are going to come from WWE. This isn't hidden. No. The internet. This is what cultivated the IWC was the acknowledgement that WWE scoops up the most talented people on the planet and then squander their talent. Facts. So the fact that we're picking them up from WWE, this is what we used to say. They were already talented, and keep that same energy.
They wouldn't be there if they weren't talented.
Exactly. This isn't like the early 90s or the women's division in the early 2000s where we were just scooping up bodybuilders and models. WWE has actively been recruiting the most talented roster. It's whether they intended on using them or they misused them is another thing, but we know WWE is stacked. Why would you be AEW and not want it? I think what it is Impact or TNA, not current Impact, but TNA and WCW just showed you how to fumble talent still. And I think everyone expects that from AEW.
Which, and my thing about that is like that was different because it was a dying promotion, and they were picking up real cast-offs. These guys that are being released now are not those guys that were being released that TNA and WCW picked up. Some of these guys are former world champions. Some of these guys are fucking 10 and 15-year veterans on the independent circle and have been around the world.
Yeah.
Like these are actual real fucking talents. A lot of them world champion material talents that the WWE hoarded. And like you said, either didn't use it all or completely fucking misused. So I never looked at it that way at all. Like I said, between AEW and NXT's like last 3 or 4 years, they've raided the independents. There is no top flight independent stars now. They took them all. So like, where the fuck else are you supposed to get the guys? You have to get them from WWE because you have half and they have the other half.
That's very true. Oh man, that felt good to get off my chest. I'm not gonna lie. Aleister Black, obviously one of these people, and
the fact that he hasn't murdered somebody with that kick and how he gets that off without breaking someone's fucking jaw, like that is the most amazing bit of fucking wrestling maneuvering maybe in my entire life of watching wrestling, like, because I don't understand how people are not concussed.
Yeah, we saw the same move done wrong in NXT to Mercedes Martinez.
She
got knocked the fuck out, man.
Took her out. That's what I'm saying. Like, That's how you know this man is a real martial artist too. On top of that, he's a great professional wrestler and a real martial artist. Like literally, kick these people in the face. Looks like he's taking their head off, and none of them are dead.
Yeah. Now the opposite has happened that one time with Lars Sullivan, who was like across the ring.
But that could also go because Lars was fucking trash. Bro.
Yeah. Crown Royals in the chat. Hey, Crown, man. Glad to see you again. Longtime viewer of ours. He mentions, are we talking about Dan Severn? No, that's Hammer's Lounge. We'll talk about Dan all the time over there. And then Cesaro is, an underused talent, misused most of the time. Yeah, man. Black ended up in his promo urged Brock Anderson to take the count out loss and then apologize for stepping up. Brock does not adhere that advice, and same thing with his daddy, telling him, Brock, man, you don't have to do this. I love that there was like 4 minutes of airtime while these guys were making their entrance, which we knew Black was gonna murder him, and in a very short match, we had a very telling story. Brock takes the fight to Black immediately. Black fends him off. He starts brawling with him in the turnbuckle. Go back and watch. One of the stiffest punches lands directly on Brock's face. I think Brock dropped down while Black was still doing his like body shot combo, and Brock just fell right in line with his punch. You hear fist to cheekbone. It was solid because the camera was right there in the corner, picked it all up. It's fantastic. Aleister urges Arn Anderson to throw in the towel. Great storytelling there. Arn can do it, proving that wrestling parents are the worst parents.
Worst parents ever.
Yeah, and so Black goes on to Black Mass. Brock Anderson pins him. Beautiful match. Did exactly what it needed to do. This is a great squash match. Is what it is. Yeah. Afterwards, though, we did see a little bit of criticism. Black attempts a Black Mass on Arn Anderson, who just blocks the shit out of it. It didn't bother me because I watch MMA and I'm like, oh yeah, that was perfect technique. How you stopped without, so it didn't register to me. I was like, and also Arn Anderson's a legend. If there's a guy that, should have like be able to pop off like one defense or one offensive move on young guys, Arn's a pass. Black ends up low blowing him and then hits the Black Mass, murders the Anderson family. I love this, man. I really, really hope that this does not lead to Cody getting that win back at All Out.
It is.
Oh man, please don't. Like, just don't let Black carry this momentum. And Cody's already a big star. This is me pleading with the company. Cody's already a big star. Like, no one's going to think any less of Cody if he eats 2 L's and moves on from a feud. Black is the guy to do it. Black is the guy to be able to shut Cody down. So please, AEW, don't do that shit. Black versus Miro, yes.
Yes.
Crown Royal says, you talking about that left hand? That was fucking crazy. Yes, it was. Bama's in the chat. He says, afternoon, gents. All right, RN. We're running close. We got a couple more minutes.
Yeah.
Other minor stuff. Orange Cassidy almost kills Matt Hardy with a crossbody. Busts open his lip bad. Matt Hardy was a bloody mess for the remainder of their match. And he took a picture afterwards, and his lip had ballooned up. Jamie Hayter beats Red Velvet, who continues to struggle with the moonsault. I didn't realize this is an ongoing thing for Red Velvet. Like, this is like one of the most unintentional stories. Red Velvet misses a moonsault by a mile, which I thought was covered pretty well because Hayter took the opportunity to get her feet and pounce on Red Velvet and ended up beating her. So I didn't hate on it that much. But then I saw a compilation video, and yeah, Red Velvet's like whole AEW career is just like half-assed moonsaults. Like it's interesting. I wonder if this is one of those things. You hear about this in the fighting world. If just Red Velvet can nail it in practice and in the gym, but
can't fucking get it done.
You just can't get it done, when it matters. Civil War and the Dark Order. RN, I know you love the Dark Order.
It just doesn't make sense anymore. A bunch of white dudes playing luchador. It's not dark anymore. It's
about to be. It's about to be, man.
I hope so.
I'm going on record. This is not like, this is a pretty common theory, but I'm going on record that Bray Wyatt is coming in there to set things straight. I think you can make it work. He fits the aesthetic, obviously, and then he's obviously got those huge ties to Brody Lee. I think that's an awesome story to tell, and then maybe it can bring the Dark Order back to their vicious and dark roots, or RN calls them luchador, like white luchadors. All right, so we lost RN again. That's why he's not cutting me off about this shit. Damn, this was the one thought piece I wanted him to have. We'll come back to it whenever he gets back in here. But yeah, Evil Uno tells off Alex Reynolds. And then that's ends up what's going on. Everybody's like on edge and shit. Okay, there you are. So what I was saying is I think Bray Wyatt should come in, take over the faction. I know everyone says they don't need a new leader. I think there is a story you could tell there. Between aesthetically, Bray Wyatt represents kind of like what it sounds like you want out of the Dark Order, which, you know, maybe he can mold them into that image. And then B, those huge ties to Brody Lee.
That's my thing. Like, I know we put everybody in the fucking Dark Order when they get released or anything like that, but they can't make this any better. Like, he's
like extended family. You know what I mean?
Right. Like, he could be like the Exalted One's brother, whatever one. You can play it up whatever you want. Like, but he's here to bring us back to glory because we lost our leader. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
he's the godfather of the Dark Order, man. That's what he is.
Why does Zoom hate me so much?
I don't know, man. It's starting to piss me off. Bama says UWO, unpopular wrestling opinion. Damn, I gotta book that next episode, by the way. Half of my tweets I've saved have already become dated. Brock Anderson needs to change his name like Sting, Hulk, Dusty, or Punk. Once a name becomes synonymous with a huge star, you shouldn't have a name that could be confused with them. I don't know. I guess, okay, so Natalya did change her name. Is there any second or third generation carrying on their family name and they're just as big as... well, I guess The Rock, but yeah, even then it's not as derivative from Rocky Johnson. It's a good point. I can see that.
Randy's the only one I can think of.
Oh, I mean, Cody Rhodes.
And Cody,
yeah, Cody Rhodes, man. He feels just as big as his poppy. No, man. I think it comes down to the wrestler. I think if they can, because essentially like this, if you're talented enough, your name won't matter. You know?
No.
Yeah. So yeah, no. I think I can see where you're coming from, where it might help him discover an identity outside of it. But I mean, look, Charlotte Flair, you know, don't act like we're that far removed from calling her Charlotte Flair. It was only a year or two ago. She spent a long time with her dad's name.
Shit, and Brian Pillman Jr.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna yeet that. I'm sorry, Bam. I'm yeeting that off the show. When you say Brock, I'll never think of Brock Anderson. So it's not the Anderson that's messing you up. It's Brock. Okay. Okay. I see where you're coming from.
That's true.
Yeah. And the tag team main event, that was okay. Max, Darby, and Kingston beat the Wingmen. It was supposed to be 2.0, but I think someone either caught COVID or they had to quarantine because one of them had like a young child or something like that. So, yeah, the original idea of the main event sounds way better than makes way more sense than what we got. Although I will always praise the Wingmen and JD Drake. Okay, RN SmackDown, the return of the man.
I did see that, but that was probably about the last part of SmackDown I saw was that. And
oh, shit, you missed SmackDown. That's right.
I saw like the first 10 minutes, like the promos with everybody and then the match. right after that, but I didn't see anything after that.
You didn't miss too much. Kind of like last week where we were able to burn through TakeOver. We're probably going to burn through SmackDown.
Gotcha.
Becky Lynch, for one, huge success in the viewers for SmackDown. They hit just shy of 3 million, and that coveted 18 to like 40 demo. They scored higher than anything AEW's ever hit. Like it, in a day while we're talking about needle movers and stuff, Becky's a needle mover, bro. Like
before she left, she was the biggest star in the company. Like anybody that thought that she wasn't was either fucking lying or didn't know what they were talking about.
It could be that, or it could be, I also saw, is people were anticipating Brock Lesnar.
It's a little bit of both,
yeah.
honestly. I mean, I'd say they were neck and neck. I wouldn't say it was more Brock than it was Becky.
Yeah, I definitely, when I was tuning in, I'm not going to lie, Brock was more heavy on my mind than Becky Lynch.
Same.
Yeah. But Becky's promo, essentially, Becky comes out. She rips off. Oh shit! I was supposed to get the soundbite. Damn it! She rips off Conor McGregor's famous quote whenever he beat Eddie Alvarez to become the champ of UFC. In the middle of Conor's promo, who had been very controversial up to this point, ruffling a lot of feathers, Conor came out and said he wanted to take the opportunity to apologize, and then he said to absolutely nobody. Becky Lynch, almost word for word, or did the promo, but I mean, I guess it makes sense in this aspect. Were you, RN? Were you coming in with the same criticism that I was, as far as they weren't coming from SummerSlam, they weren't gonna be able to book Becky as a heel correctly?
No, absolutely. They should have never booked her as a heel to fucking begin with.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't make any sense to me, that decision. And it didn't make any sense to me, like, them doing that to Bianca after all the equity they stocked into her the last 6 or 7 months. Like, nothing about it made sense. Like, it just didn't. Like, it would have made more sense if she returned to Raw and beat Nikki Ass or one of them, you know what I'm saying, for coming back, being that she didn't lose the belt anyway.
Right.
So, like, that, it would have made a sense there, but not doing that to a woman that they've been building up as damn near indestructible and can take anything, and then she comes and loses her fucking title in 26 seconds. Like, it just didn't make any sense to me. And then on top of it, you have Becky do some heel shit, some sneak shit to get it done. So it's like none of it made sense at all.
So I will praise WWE for, in the same light that when I told you they will be able to make people cheer for Jackson Riker. So I'm not saying that like I'm into this. I'm just praising that they knew how to do it, which with Jackson, they did it in a red state and they put him in a no DQ match. And I think they even pumped in some cheers. But with Becky, you knew there was no promo she could cut to get people to boo her. She had to take away the one thing that everybody wants from Becky, and that's to see her wrestle, to see her out there mixing it up. And that's what she did. So in her promo, after she did the whole I'm not apologizing to anybody shtick, I love that they were able to find the footage from whenever Becky showed up at the Performance Center, and she's standing right in front of Bianca, and she tells the advice she gives is always strike first. So it was cool they were able to tie that part in. And then after all that talk, Bianca says, let's give the crowd what they want. Let's have a match here tonight, in which Becky just simply just shrugs and says, nope, and walks off. And I was like, that's how you do it. If you're going to try to get people to boo Becky, you're going to keep her from wrestling. But even then, it's not a sure thing, though. People just might boo the booking, just because they want to see. It's like how you can't have Kenny Omega in a match, even and refuse to tag in, because people will still boo him, but they want to see him in the ring or whatever. And so, yeah, I don't know if it's the right thing.
That's my thing. Like,
I don't know.
I just don't. Then they still really didn't even boo her. Like, they were still kind of cheering after that, even after she said, I apologize to fucking no one. Like,
yeah.
There's no way you could have. I don't think there's anything they could have done to effectively make the crowd boo her, like full on. Like, I just don't see anything, because she's too fucking over. And like, my thing is, why would you want your biggest star, or even if you want to say your second biggest star. You already have one as a heel. Why would you want both your biggest stars be heels? That was the main thing why I didn't get it. Like,
rumor has it came from Becky. It's her idea, and I'm sorry if it was your idea, Becky. It's not the best one.
And my thing is that too. Like, okay, and it's still a bad fucking idea.
Yeah, it's still a bad idea, regardless who it came from. This led to one of the bigger tropes in pro wrestling. Is everybody starts walking out in the middle of like interrupting each other's promos. So Becky's out there with Bianca, and then I believe she's trailed by like Carmella, and then Zelina Vega, and then ultimately Liv Morgan, and everyone is just talking trash. They all want the next title fight, and it actually turned into one of my favorite match types, which is a fatal four-way elimination match.
Right.
It didn't make any sense, though, because the heels were still fighting each other and the faces were still fighting each other. And in a match where you're eliminating people, psychology would state that you would team up initially. But WWE's never really played by those rules. Same thing in like the Royal Rumble. Tag teams will turn on each other well before it's warranted, you know. But it came down to a good final two between Liv Morgan and Bianca Belair. That was pretty good, with Bianca hitting the kiss of death on Liv Morgan. So, speaking on Becky Lynch, Bama Dave in the chat says, so glad she's back. I'm so glad her first initiative is to elevate the women's division. First segment, referring to all the women I just mentioned, especially Liv, who Becky said will be a champ once she returned from her maternity leave. He says, it's her idea until Bayley and Sasha are back full time. She wants to build up the babyface girls. Bianca, get over. I mean, okay.
Still doesn't make it a good idea.
If that's how I would use Becky, but okay. I kind of like your idea, RN. Send her to Raw and have her murder fucking Nikki. Raw needs star power. Let's be honest.
Right. I don't know why they didn't go back there. And then, like I said, even using her as a heel. Put her back there and let her be the female Roman Reigns and just hoard over the entire women's division. And then you might be able to get something out of Rhea or any of those girls who that tweener shit isn't working for. If you have an actual legit star heel against them, you get them a better rub and a better babyface rub at that.
Yeah. Elsewhere on the show, we finally got the reveal of Happy Corbin. Corbin came out. Finally got a haircut, suit and tie, says he's won all his money back. He's in like a Ferrari or some like really nice car. He comes out. He attempts to buy Big E's Money in the Bank, which Big E refuses. I think he offered him like $100,000. But it was pretty funny. I'm here for the gimmick. Baron Corbin really gives his all no matter what is given to him. He really gives everything that he can into it. Bama says, cue Pharrell's music. Yeah, I saw that edit. Heel Tactics on Twitter, who actually made the intro for this show, the music for it. He dubbed Happy over Corbin's segment. It was hilarious. RN's fully out the call now. Let's see. I should have a backup for this for those who are watching right here. Yeah, that kind of works. Oh, well. We'll use it till RN gets back. All right, this is really distracting. Cesaro defeated Chad Gable. Okay, so Chad Gable and Otis, I feel like have been doing the same thing for like 6 months. Is Gable has a match, Otis causes like some sort of DQ. The following week, Otis has a match against that guy and then ends up beating them. And I've become a huge fan of Otis during all of this, but it needs to go somewhere. Like, it absolutely needs to go somewhere. I was talking about how I know. Don't worry, man. We're at the home stretch already.
Jeez, I'm about to fucking punch the screen.
I was talking about how Otis and Chad Gable have been doing the same 2-week routine where Gable has a match, which Otis causes DQ. Otis has the follow-up match, squashes wrestler. And we feel like we've been in this time loop for about like 6 months.
Yeah, I don't know what the point is of this. Like, I was behind it at first, and I love heel Otis more than I thought I would. But it's like, what are we doing? Like, is he gonna get a belt, or are they gonna get the tag straps? Like, what the fuck is going on with it? Like you said, they're in a time warp.
Yeah, I know. It's probably just waiting for stuff to clear up on the card to send Otis after somebody, but they're keeping him on TV. I mean, they're keeping him looking strong, but you got to mix it up a little bit. Jeez.
Send him after the Intercontinental stuff. You don't need Big E's out of the picture now, so
yeah. Backstage, Rey Mysterio tells Dominic that he needs to stand on his own, and so Rey has booked Dominic a mystery opponent. Once again, bad parent. You should probably give your kid preparation. Dominic goes out to the ring. Everyone that I saw on social media was anticipating, I believe, Adam Cole to debut on SmackDown. And it ended up being Sami Zayn. Now, granted, remember, Rey tells Dominic, you need to stand on your own 2 feet. You don't even get halfway in the match, and Rey's down at ringside helping his son out. Dominic ends up getting losing to a exploder suplex followed up by a haluva kick, which is a nice finish by Sami. It's been a while since we've seen Sami actually finish somebody off so cleanly.
right.
But the Mysterios need to hurry this shit up. Dominic got up. He refused to. He just kind of just shrugged his dad off and just walked off on his own.
I want to heal Dominic.
Yeah,
I want him to fucking turn on Rey, and I want him to heal. I wish they had done it with the Seth stuff and let him join.
Yes, Dominic under Seth's teaching. Oh man.
Oh my god. Like just imagine, bro. And if they had actually kept him and Buddy and let him really have disciples, like I think that was the ball they dropped a long time ago.
Elsewhere on the show, Shinsuke Nakamura and Rick Boogs, they defeated Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler. 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 Boogs ended up pinning Roode with a pump handle slam. Haven't seen pump handle since Road Dogg, one of my original favorite wrestlers, man. Return of the pump handle. Okay, so last thing worth talking about. Finn Balor came out to challenge Roman Reigns at the end of the show. He's in the face of Roman, Paul Heyman, and the Usos. Now, let's rewind a little bit. That's the name of the show. Let's rewind a little bit. Throughout the show, SmackDown was just dominated. This is probably the biggest thing you missed, RN. Paul Heyman's storytelling from Brock showing up. Because Paul Heyman, interviewed by Kayla Braxton, tries to enter the locker room after you know how he is with Kayla. He's always so rude and dismissive towards Kayla. He shoos her off, and then he goes to enter the locker room, which he's locked out, and just has complete egg on his face during the whole time. Later on, Kayla's back there with him, and she has the biggest shit-eating grin on her face. Seeing Heyman,
I don't know why they took him off of there. Their chemistry was fucking just amazing.
Yeah, man, I love it. She said so much just by having that smirk, which she held the whole time she was staring at Heyman. The Usos come out and they accuse Paul Heyman of knowing about Brock Lesnar. And essentially, they politely threaten him. They threaten him without being threatening, you know. Finally, later on in the night, Roman Reigns shows up. Roman asks why Paul Heyman's outside of the locker room. Paul Heyman looks scared to death around Roman, and it's the best thing. He lets him in the locker room finally, and then before they all go out for their celebration, Heyman's telling Roman, no, you go out without me. And Roman gives his belt back to Heyman and says, you're family. I love you. And then ushers him out. And just the level of fear, Heyman's got to feel like a rabbit in a wolf den right now. Like, it's so good. But this led to Finn Balor coming out during the celebration, demanding his match against Roman Reigns. Ends up being for next week, though. So I feel like that heavily telegraphs that Finn's probably going to lose, and Roman's going to quickly move on to the Brock Lesnar story, which is what's currently being told.
Right.
So yeah, that's how SmackDown went off the air. I wonder what they're going to do. I hope Finn hangs on to the top of the card. I said if now I know you watch NXT, so you'll actually have to give me your point of view on this. I said as you know, if Adam Cole stays, I'd like to see him cost Finn the match and then set up a huge rivalry on SmackDown. But then I think Bama said they just had a feud and it'd be kind of played out already.
Yeah, if the people that watch SmackDown or anyone that ran the shows watched NXT or knew that was a fucking thing, like Bama's kayfabe rule doesn't work on the main roster because NXT doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't be opposed to it. Like I said, nobody's gonna fucking remember that because according to them, the people that watch Raw and SmackDown don't watch NXT, so they're not gonna remember it.
Yeah, no, I mean they did the same thing with Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano in the middle of like the climax of their like several year-long feud. They were brought up as a tag team,
right,
and just deflated everybody's energy. But yeah, that was the rundown. Bama says before we go, we're getting Edge versus Roman at Extreme Rules. Hopefully a TLC match. My initial opinion is please no. I want to hang on to Edge as long as possible. That man doesn't need to go near a fucking ladder ever again in his career. He's given us enough ladders and table spots.
Facts.
But yeah, RN, overall, man, what'd you think of this week before we go?
It was B level, mids. Nothing was terrible.
Yeah. Actually, that's very true. Nothing outside of, I would say, like the Dewdrop thing really got under my skin this week. Yeah, okay. That's fair. I want to thank you guys for watching. If you haven't already, like and subscribe to us on YouTube. Or if you're here in the live stream, please give us a follow on twitch.tv/SmackedRaw. We got a Patreon. If you're watching the video, it's listed right here. If you're not, patreon.com/SmackedRawPodcast. And then we also have PayPal me /SmackedRawPod. Otherwise, you guys can find us on Twitter, myself at The Kai Tai Show, and RN at Mr. 8984, right? I have it correct on the graphic. I know for a year I did it. But like always, you guys, until next time, y'all have a good one.
See y'all next week.